So the keynote of Martyr here refers to their ability to stand up and say, that's not true, and take the heat for it, 'cause that's what a martyr is. They die on a cause, right? It's like, I will martyr
That's
myself
a
for the
word.
cause.
That's a word that it took me a long while to understand what it meant.
Yeah. And so the reason for this is because the line 3 is all about change, and it's all
Mhm.
about experimenting, and it's about learning what works and what doesn't work. Human design reveals who you are energetically and who you came here to be. I'm Dana, human design specialist.
And I'm Haley, the human design newbie. Listen in as we explore how leaning into your authentic self is your ultimate path to success. Welcome to the Human Design Hive podcast. Let's get into it.
Hello, Haley. How you doing?
Hello. Good. How are
Good.
you?
Oh, well, we were just talking before we got on here of how horribly hot it is in South Carolina
Yes.
today, and making me jealous once again with your Colorado weather. But I'm sure
Yes.
we'll have our flip-floppy mode, especially come wintertime.
Yeah.
When you probably never leave your apartment.
Yes. Yes.
Or you'll break out in cold hives.
Yeah.
We've
Yes,
learned that
unfortunately.
Haley has a very unusual cold weather condition. I'm
Yes.
sorry. Am I exposing all your secrets?
No, it's my weird little fun fact.
Fun fact. Haley, there's way more interesting things to you than the fact that you break out in hives in the cold.
Well, okay. So it's less about the cold, it's more about the warming up. My legs, if they get too cold, it's when they're warming up that they break out into the hives and get itchy. That's what I have found. Yes.
Interesting. I mean, I have heard there are people allergic to cold because I looked it up to know why you were,
But it's
breaking out in hives.
weird. It's primarily just on like my thighs. So I don't know. It's weird.
They must get the coldest.
Probably. I don't have great pants.
Well, no, I know that even when it's true that when I get really cold, it's usually if I'm not keeping my legs warm enough, like when we have the oyster roast and everything in the wintertime, the front of your body might be warm from the fire, but the back isn't, and it will take forever for my like thighs and butt to warm up. It's like ice.
Yeah.
And I'm not even in cold weather you're going to be in this winter. It'll be interesting to see what happens for you.
Yeah.
After that.
We will see.
We will see. Yeah. So we are continuing today in our line series. I guess we'll call it line series. I think I may have
that's
already
what
named
we've
it.
Already called it. No, I don't think we have a name. So
I think it's a profile line series or a line series. Shit, now I don't remember. It doesn't matter. I'll figure it out. Here we are. And today we're going to be talking about the line 3. And so, real quick recap, when we're talking about the lines, we're talking about the 6 lines of the hexagrams, and also generally associated with profile primarily in human design, because your profile is determined by which line of the hexagram that your sun and earth, conscious and unconscious, are under. So that's what we talk about the most, but we also talk about each gate that is in your in the whole Bodygraph, but also all the 64 gates, which are also in the I Ching, the 64 hexagrams. Each one has a 1 through 6 line expression, and so it's like a finer flavor of each of gate or hexagram.
It's that umami of the hexagram.
It's a little seasoning, a little spoon. But it's really how that gate expresses. It's going to express in different ways little nuances, I guess is the right
Yeah.
way to put it, of the expression of the gate. And so, as we said before, we have done episode before on all the profile, like what profile is in general.
Right.
That's an earlier episode. And then we have a 3-part series where we went through each individual, the 12 profiles. And some of those are some of our more listened to and more viewed on YouTube. And so I thought we would do this so that we could just talk about each individual line in depth, to where, it'll be in order. It'll be a nice resource for everybody out there to just get a little primer there. So that being said, there's a lot of repeat information here, and I think it's my line 1 that like gets really worried and bothered about that I'm not like coming up with new information. Like everybody's gonna be rolling their eyes like, we know all this already. But then I also remember, I don't know about you, obviously I kind of do, because you forget half of what I tell you.
Now you are exposing me.
I do need to hear things over and over again.
Yeah.
And I think we all do, because I think we talked about it before, that we're always changing and growing, and our understanding is growing, right? And so sometimes things don't land right away.
Yeah.
And you hear them or read them again, and you might be like, oh, now I get it.
Or, really? I didn't get that before.
I know. Well, even really from, us doing this series, there are things within here that I am like, I knew that, but then at the same time, like, oh, I think I understand it a little bit better now. So even more so than the episodes we've already done, there's going to be possibly some more knowledge here that we didn't have before that we're going to expose in a good way. And so what's interesting about the line 3 for us is neither one of us has a line 3 in our profile. We do have some in our charts, but not in our profile. But you're married to a line 3.
Yes.
And I am too. And so we have some experience, and your brother's a line 3.
Yep.
He's a 3-5.
I said, yep.
Yep.
I can't remember. I know Ian has the 5, but I can't ever remember.
3-5.
3-5. Presley's a 3-1.
No, 1-3.
1-3. Is 3-1-1 or no?
No.
So it's a 1-3.
So the profiles that have the line 3 in them are the 1-3,
1-3,
3-6. I mean 3-5. Let's do it in order.
Oh gosh.
1-3, 1-3, 3-5,
Okay.
3-6, and 6-3.
I know we probably went through it while they're in our actual profile episodes, but
it's just math. It's just how, the sun, like we said, it spends roughly 6 days, but it's not an exact 6 24-hour days. Right? So it's not an exact measurement of days. So, there's going to be, within a day, there might be, switching from one gate to another, the sun, right? So it doesn't always happen so that's how you get these different, variations. And it's just
I just have to accept it.
You just have to accept it. It's fine.
But it is a struggle.
It is fun. After a while, you should just challenge yourself. There's only 12 profiles. You could essentially, come up with what they are. They'll just, because it doesn't matter. Anyways.
Before we go down that tangent.
Right.
So our experience with line 3s.
I'm just laughing because I'm reading my notes. And I do
what
a lot
did
of
you
voice
get
to
this
text.
time?
Well, the line 3 is known as the Martyr.
Okay.
And then in quantum, she calls it Explorer. My note says, keynote here of murder refers to their ability to stand up and say that is not true and take the heat for it. Murder. That's why I saw that. Okay. So the line 3 in traditional human design is referred to as the Martyr, which is another name we love.
Yeah.
to hate. And quantum human design, the explorer. Explorer makes a little bit more sense as we
Mhm.
get into it. So, the martyr. What's the martyr about? So, the keynote of martyr here refers to their ability to stand up and say, that's not true, and take the heat for it, because that's what a martyr is. They die on a cause, right? It's like, I will martyr
It's
myself
a
for the
word
cause.
that's a word that it took me a long while to understand what it meant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so the reason for this is because the line 3 is all about change, and it's all
Mhm.
about experimenting, and it's about learning what works and what doesn't work. And so, as they say, as such, the line 3 experiences a lot of life bumping into them. It's
Mm.
like a bumpy ride for a line 3.
Okay.
And so their purpose really is to explore and experience possibilities and sharing insights that then protect and serve others. So let's think about the hexagram structure of the 6
Mhm.
lines, right? So
Okay.
we went from the line 1. So we've got the upper trigram, lower trigram. So
Mhm.
the lower trigram is the 1 2 3, upper trigram 4 5 6.
Mhm.
What did we say the line 3 was in the house analogy? Do you remember?
Um, I don't think it's the second floor yet. I think that's
Mm-mm.
the next one. So I think line 3, is it the stairs?
The internal staircase, right?
Yes. Okay.
Yes. And why is that? Because
Because
it's
it's transitioning to the upper trigram.
right. So if you think about how, when we're looking at how the hexagrams express or whatever, there's the foundation, the line 1, which is,
Mhm.
understanding the root of it. What is this really all about? The line 2 is about integrating and processing. The line 3 is about experimenting,
Mhm.
taking, this inner look at things, because the lower trigram lines are all very self-focused,
Mhm.
of the information or what comes its way in life, and saying and questioning, is that true? Is that real? Does that
Mhm.
work? Right.
Right.
And I think when you think about the people in your life that that have
Mhm.
line 3s in their profile, wherever it is, this is certainly an element. Plus, you're line
Mhm.
6, and you
Yes.
are in the part of your life that expresses as a line 3. It's a lot
Mhm.
of um what's really true. There's a search for truth here in a line
Yeah.
3.
Mhm.
So they are those that really never take life, strictly line 3, never take life at face value. They won't take your
Mhm.
word for it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
But we need
Mhm.
that. We need that in
Yeah.
people. We need people that challenge or question if the information is valid, you know?
You know what's really funny
Mm-mm.
is, so Presley he has that line 3. Like you said, I have this line 6, but it's
Mhm.
expressing as the line 3.
Mhm.
And he gets frustrated with me when I don't take what he says at face value.
Mm.
And I
Mhm.
always have to look it up. But then he will never accept anything I say at face value. So I'm like, okay,
Hmm.
so you're going to get mad at me, but then don't take what I say.
He might have to listen to this episode, but that is a great experience there of two line 3s together. Is like, well, depending on where the line 3 is in the profile,
Mhm.
of, yeah, who's gonna budge here.
It's usually
So,
me.
well, yeah. um so, as such, a line 3, since they're here to shake things up by experiment, not shake things up, but they're here to experiment, they
Mhm.
need to experiment. They need to try new things. And what really interests them is to, like we said, take these ideas, things that have been put out there or whatever, or what
Mhm.
comes at them, and then do their own experiment to try and see, decide if it really works or not. And they're always seeking improvement as such, right?
Mhm.
Think of your dad.
Mm-hmm.
And when you think about a line 3 and a manifesting generator, it's, yeah, it's no surprising. It's not surprising. Your dad makes a lot more sense to me after I learned about human design, for sure. But these are line 3s are very resilient people
Mm-hmm.
because, as we said, life's always coming at them or bumping into them to, force them to challenge if this is true or not. So
Mm-hmm.
this, especially if the 3 is in their bodies are very resilient. They have kind of this way of just being able to bounce back a little bit easier because
Like
they're
maybe also
adaptable.
maybe there are people that don't tend to be like get sick very often or something. That could be.
Well, I mean, if they do, they are there to, they have the ability and the capability to bounce back. They
Mm-hmm.
probably learn something through the experience of the illness or the injury or whatever, of
Mm-hmm.
maybe how to do something differently than they did before that maybe got them into that situation. And so there's, this learning theme for the line 3. We talked about the line 1 is learning through gathering knowledge and
Mm-hmm.
introspection. Line 2 is just through embodying and kind of just knowingness. And then the
Mm-hmm.
3 is like, all right, hold my beer.
Let's get our hands dirty.
Let's try this thing out. Let's see what we got to say. And so the mantra here for a line 3 profile is really to try everything. These are people that are not afraid to try. And so, you know, you as a line 6 right now in your
Mm-hmm.
line 3 phase are, I would say, between the two of us, a lot more willing to try things,
Yeah.
experiment, see if things, are worth trying. What do you think? Do you think so?
Yeah. I mean, between me and you, yes. Between me and
Hmm.
Presley, no.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely a lot more. He'll try new things. He's always trying to like reading new articles on ways to change your habits and all
Hmm.
kinds of different adventures and things like that.
Hmm. Well, I did hear someone talk about their experience as a line 6 that, but she was a 6-3. Um, I think she was 6-3 or 3-6. I can't remember which one. Anyway, she said she was very happy to learn through other people's experiences and mistakes.
Mhm.
Because same thing, like she didn't feel like she was someone that made a lot of messy mistakes or experimented with a lot of
Mhm.
things, but she knew lots of people did and learned from them, which in a line 6 aspect, I could see that. But let me just
I
back up.
definitely resonate with that more than
Yeah.
me personally being the one trying things.
Yeah, in certain respects.
Mhm.
Well, let me back up because I made the mistake of saying the word mistake.
Ah, oh,
Bec-
I see where you're going.
yeah, because for line 3, are there mistakes?
No,
No, there's never any
there's
mistakes.
lessons.
Lessons, that's right. Because they're meant to, as we have talked about, with your favorite thing, they get their
Hands in the
hands dirty,
clay.
get their hands in the clay, manipulate things, see how it shakes out. And so, you know, just like in the scientific process, you've got to have an expectation that there's going to be some sort of quote unquote failure, or there's going to be some thing that comes up that doesn't work out, but that's never seen as a failure of the whole
Mhm.
experiment, right? It's like, well, we thought we'd try this, it didn't work, so let's go back to square one and see where we went off track, or see what
Mhm.
the data tells us of what we should have done instead. And so there's a lot of that process, I think, in line 3 because they experience all of it.
Mhm.
Sorry. Ian just walked by the window and I'm like, where's he going? There, I think there was a package on the wall. So yeah, so the line 3 is definitely gaining their knowledge through that hands-on experience. So anything that occurs, really, it could be a setback.
Mhm.
It could be something like that, like you didn't work out the way you thought it might work out, but ultimately taking comfort in knowing that that's the way it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
How does Presley feel about, how do you see him experiencing that? Do you think he roll off his back a little bit more when things don't work out, or no?
I think he's gotten better, but I think it still is, he sees it as a failure if it's something like he thought it was something that he really wanted to do, but
Mm-hmm.
then nothing comes from it really. I think he does tend to see it more of a failure,
Mm-hmm.
but it also doesn't deter him from trying things still.
Right, because the line 3 is really never going to stop. It's like they could have their moments there, as you said, where they get discouraged or whatever, especially he's a generator, so he's going to get a little bit frustrated, obviously, or, but he keeps trying. And so his
Mhm,
trials, experiments, usually for him, because he is, very industrious, is usually right now in like
mhm,
kind of his business space or whatever, is
mhm.
that career, right?
Yeah,
Um,
career health is his recent
mm.
kick.
Oh, he's life hacking. Is he trying to body hack?
He's trying.
Well, they said that, especially with the 3 being in his unconscious side, that um, we know, his history is that there was more challenges, that he got through.
Mhm,
He learned how to be very adaptable early in life, and that's gonna help him. It may feel like at times he's coming up against brick walls or things aren't working out, but it's really taught him a lot to keep going. Like you said,
mhm,
he won't give up. I mean, the worst
mm-mm,
thing that line 3 can do for themselves is to stop trying to experiment or try new things because they're
mhm.
afraid of making mistakes.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you were going to say something.
No. It's like, what?
So as life comes bumps into him, he wants to try new things or whatever. Same
Mhm,
thing for your dad. I tried to remind him that, that's all part of the process, especially for your dad, like we said, manifesting generator. And so he's always life definitely bumps into your dad,
Yeah.
gives him things to consider. But
Mhm,
I can see it in your dad that he does get frustrated and kind of directs it towards himself more when there are mistakes. So,
mhm.
some are warranted. I shouldn't say that, but I do let it roll off my back a lot more. But there's definitely within your dad, there's no way that he's just going to take someone's word for it. He won't take my word for it either. Like you said with Presley, you know, I mean, he generally will not believe it until it's something he has experienced himself.
Mhm.
It's case in point when, which wasn't him doing it, but when back in the day when I was learning all this new energy healing stuff, and
Mhm,
I decided that I wanted to go take the Reiki training. And of
mhm.
course he thought I was nuts. I think a lot of things that I'm interested in, I just don't tell him about for a long time. I
You're
just don't
like,
tell
"No,
him.
I'll keep this a little quiet."
Yeah, and you know what? I actually encourage that in people sometimes too. I'm like, you don't have to share everything you're interested in with this person, because if it's going to, make you insecure about how you feel about something, and it's, something you're interested in, just keep
Mhm.
it to yourself for a little bit until
Yeah,
you need to get anybody else involved.
yeah.
But things like that I would hide for, because I knew he already thought yoga was weird, and not weird, but nobody around here back then was doing yoga. Nobody's
Yeah.
wives were doing yoga, and it was just always, well, what's she off to now? And he thought it was hooey, thought it was woohoo, thought I was nuts. I tried to explain it to him. I could not explain it to him. So I just did it. I
Mhm.
said, here, just experience it. And I gave him his first Reiki treatment, and his reaction was, I don't know what the fuck that was, but that was weird, and that was really great. That felt really good. Will you do it again? And he wanted me to do it all the time. He always wanted me to like fall asleep with my hand on him so I could do Reiki on him. And I was like,
Like, no. I
I just
wanna
felt
sleep
like,
too.
I know, I felt like a selfish energy healer, if you understand. I'd be like, no, I want to put him on my body. But to this day, he will still say the same thing to people. If they ask about it, he was like, I can't tell you what I don't know it's weird. All I know is it works. Same thing with acupuncture. He thought it was weird
Oh,
until
I
he's like,
love acupuncture.
he entertained me. He didn't want to do it, didn't like the needles, but yeah, he got the results for it, so he could definitely, and he'll share that with people now, but he was not going to take anybody's word for that.
Presley's still not convinced on Reiki. He's like, I don't know if it is actually energy, or if it's just because your hands are on me and they get warm.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's like one of those things I always thought, it doesn't matter if you understand it, believe in it, doesn't matter. Do you feel better afterwards?
That
Yes.
helps me. So,
So that's right. So anyway, so yeah, so if they are, where were we? We were talking about unbalanced, they don't want to stop making or exploring if they're afraid of making mistakes. I think we were just talking about, making sure that they don't judge themselves when there is explorations or experiences that don't work out, like that, making the result the definition of their success or not. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
didn't, well, like you're saying about Presley, it didn't work out, and so he gets upset because it wasn't success, because he is very success driven.
Yes, he is.
And so that could also be an unbalanced expression, is getting tied to the result and not the experience.
Yeah.
And then another thing that could be a problem is maybe not bringing an experiment to completion in a way, like just kind of always getting out there and starting, so it just kind of creates kind of chaos, because they do need to, in that line 3 aspect. Now there's certain gates that is just about process, and this is about process too, but there needs to be kind of a completion of the experiment for the line 3, because they have to then, at some point, they're going to share their findings with other people, right? So they've got to have the data, so to speak, of their experience to know. So I think we've covered, for the line 3 here, I think we've covered that. They're experimenting, they're meant to experiment, they're meant to, like we said, get their hands dirty. We've done all that, right?
Right. Okay.
To understand that there are no mistakes, there are no failures, there is just learning through experimenting and checking it out. I always say, especially the line 3 or the line 1, excuse me, the 1-3 profile, because there's a lot of them out there. We were just looking at people that we know personally that have 1-3 is a lot. But like I said, these are the people that say, okay, if you look at a 1-3, it's in the unconscious side of, so it's in the design side, more in the body side. These are people that will definitely be listening to other people, usually people they may respect as an authority of sorts as far as gathering the information for them, but then they still will have to experiment themselves. And especially like if they're a manifesting generator, not only are they going to experiment, they're going to try and find a better or more efficient way of using that information for learning or whatever. Like, so, like I think of your dad when he watches all the YouTube videos, like he's going to build something, right? And he'll watch it and he'll watch the guy, but I can't tell you how many times he's like, I don't know why that guy did it like this, because this didn't work. You have to do this first, and this makes more sense, and blah, 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 blah. It's also why project sometimes takes him a lot longer, because he's experimented. He has possibly skipped steps or eliminated them entirely or forgotten a thing and go back and do it over again. But once, especially line 3s, once they run the experiment and they try it, like they've got it, like they understand how it works, because I mean, you're using your body, right? Oh, that's the other thing I wanted to point out, that the line 3 is all about really the body embodiment, in the sense of in the material world, in this world, in the physical plane, because it has to be, right? Because it's about experimenting, right? You can't do that with your mind.
And that's regardless of if the line 3 is on your conscious or unconscious side.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be Or if you're looking at line expressions of any of your gates, you know that this is something that you're going to be experimenting with. This is something that you're going to
It makes sense.
experiencing, and through your own experience learning about the theme of that gate and what it, and you know what shakes out for you
Yeah.
basically.
Check out.
Yeah. So one thing I would like to point out, so when we talked about the bumping into life and life coming at you and this need to, you know, they have this drive to really understand things through experimenting, okay, through experiencing, right? So they've got to learn over time through life and, you know, through what happens, that not to rush into the experiment too quickly, because sometimes there is some information that needs to be gathered first before they just are always jumping in wanting to change things. Because really it's kind of, there's a little bit of the anarchist in here, because they don't want to take the authorities' word, they just want to do it themselves. But you know, you've got to have a foundation of knowing like what it is you're trying to manipulate or change.
Right.
Because this line 3 in every expression, whether it's in your profile or in any other gate, this is seen as a very mutative energy, which we talk about that a lot in human design, that there has to be the, and that's why it's that stairway on the inside of the house, because you don't really know what's going to happen. You just have to like go through the process, but it's always going to most likely bring some sort of new expression, because it's going to be personal to you. Does that make sense?
I
I
think
think
so.
that's the first time I've asked you in this episode. Does that make sense? So as such, line 3s, the line 3 has a theme that you might hear a lot about, which I don't even think I mentioned in the other profile videos. I think I forgot entirely. Maybe I did.
You mean the
I don't
line
know.
videos?
Episodes, whatever, profile episodes.
God, we're both.
Yeah, those things.
Continue on with your thought.
Well, there's this thing, maybe you can tell me if this sounds familiar.
Okay.
Bonds made and broken. Have you heard that phrase before?
I have heard that phrase, yes.
Okay, so maybe we talked about it, because who else would talk to you about this?
Yes, okay.
So what that means is that relationally, for line 3s, the bonds made and broken, there is this theme in their relationships that if something is not working in a relationship, they can feel it, and naturally, because there is this need to, you know, try things or make them better, improvement, because that's what the experimenting is for, is improving, because we talked about testing. So if something's not working in a relationship, they can feel it, and naturally they want to upgrade it. So they may pull away a little bit to maybe get to the heart of it, see what it is, you know, try to figure it out. Or they might just think that there's no viable way forward, and they're willing to just break it and let it fall away, making space for the next experience, especially if they're have a line 6 aspect, the 6-3 or the 3-6, because the line 3 wants to experience and try new things, but the line 6, depending on its time in life, but also there's always this quest for, in a line 6, for perfection and a soulmate type of situation. So I know we talked about that in the profile episodes about the 6-3 profile and the 3-6, that they are always looking for someone to, you know, like that soulmate type of thing. So they sometimes will, you know, a line 3 aspect of it might be too hasty in that judgment of breaking that bond, right? They're willing to jump into things quickly because they're like, hey, you know, let's try something new, but they can just as quickly jump out if they think that this isn't working. And sometimes that could be to their detriment, especially if they are line 6, because they may leave too soon. You know, they may not, because we just talked about making sure they have enough information before they start running the experiment and seeing what's happening, because, you know, you could just be someone who just keeps bouncing out all the time, you know, especially if
But
you
also,
have, go ahead.
I was kind of also part of that. You got to finish the experiment as well. Like you got to kind of see it through.
Yeah. Yeah. And so Exactly. So if they have run that experiment, they've tried whatever, if the relationship is not right for them, it's not right. There's
Mhm.
no point in trying to go, any further. The growth has probably stopped there if they've, tried things. But they, as such, a line 3 is going to need kind of space in, I think everybody, me personally, I think everybody needs a little space in a relationship. I don't understand
Oh,
relationships
yeah.
where everybody wants to be all on top of each other all the time. Make me crazy. But it's my individual nature speaking. But particularly here, remember it's also a lower trigram, especially the
Mhm.
1-3. They're going to need a little bit more space to kind of be in their own, experiment. So
Mhm.
that was the thing that I want to talk about, the bonds made and broken, what that means.
Okay.
So really there's the 4 profiles that hold this line 3 aspect. Like I said, if there's going to be a 6 involved, the 3-6 or the 6-3, there's going to be a lot more experimenting, trialing, especially, or it's like a double 3 for the
Mm.
first 30 years of your life, no matter
Yeah.
which way it
Mhm.
goes. So there's going to be so really somebody that is a 3-6 or a 6-3 is someone who really are genuinely, when they show up in your life or who they are, they really are just they're people that really just go by their own experience. Like these are the people
Mhm.
that will tell it to you like it is as they
Mhm.
understand it. Really?
Mhm.
Right? Really?
Really?
Yeah. Okay. So anyways, I think that's about it. I think I have for my line 3 here.
Yeah.
Well, so if we've wrapped all that up, you know what that means, Haley.
That was my drum roll.
I thought it was breaking news. Coming over the wire. Here we are. My apologies. My apologies. Okay. Your brother asked me if we have our own jingle now. I said no, we don't. We just say it's Incarnation Cross of the Week.
Does he want to make us one?
Doubt it. He's like, I want no part of that. Okay, so today we have come up with our random number generator spit out one that is today we're going to talk or give a description, I should say, of the left angle cross of dedication 2. And so
Okay.
this consists of on the conscious side gates 43 and 23, and
Okay.
then on the unconscious side gate 29 and 30.
Okay.
So right away, I think 4323, I always know I have it. It's a theme in our family, that whole channel.
Oh,
It's a
let
channel.
me guess. Is it Genius a Freak?
It is. It's insight
Yes.
and assimilation. And then the 29 and 30, 29 is saying yes, it's about perseverance and commitment. And 30 is recognition of feelings. That's also referred to as like gate of passions. So it's like, what are you passionate about that creates the emotional energy for creating something you're passionate about.
Okay.
So it's going to be something. Let's see if this, when we think about dedication here, I can see why this might be. Okay, so
Okay.
here's a little synopsis. So your mission, if you have this cross, that's a strong word, mission, purpose, your
Mm.
purpose.
Mhm.
Um,
Okay.
or you're here to share your unique perspectives with others and express your vision openly, even if it may not be immediately understood or accepted. Yeah,
Mm.
definitely. This includes leading, teaching, and inspiring others through your unwavering dedication and passion. You serve as a living example of commitment to a cause, sparking enthusiasm in those around you. Your role involves introducing new ideas, challenging existing beliefs, and encouraging reevaluation of outdated ideas. By teaching and sharing new knowledge, you pave the way for transformation and the realization of untapped potential. Your devotion lies in reshaping the world by reshaping personal and collective perceptions of what is possible. Trust in your ability to make a difference by pushing boundaries and inspiring others to see beyond limitations, all in the pursuit of a better future.
That one's fun.
Yeah. Well, you could see, like I said, the 29 and 30 there really is, that's the real dedication piece there of like being passionate about something and persevering and bringing something forth, right? And then you take those innovative ideas that come through the 43-23, which is that mutation of, or knowingness, I should say, of, taking just things you don't always know when but you'll know it when you know it. It's so elusive on that one. But anyway, so that's
Yeah.
the left angle cross of dedication, and that's our incarnation cross of the week. So
I really like having these as an ending because they are just so like warm.
warm. Well, good. Well, it keeps us from rambling. Potentially. All right. So that being done, we'll be back next time with a dive into the line 4 and moving on to those transpersonal lines, the upper trigram. So looking forward to it. And until then, Haley, see you later. Bye.
Bye.
You made it all the way to the end of today's episode, so you must have liked what you heard. If you did, make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode, and perhaps leave us a good review. And if you know someone who wants to dig into all things human design with us, make sure you share the Human Design Hive podcast with them. We'd really appreciate it. Thanks for listening.